Get out of my sight. Leave the market now, or you'll regret it.
No, please, don't do this.
Madam, you are a witch. I saw you. You are feeding them grave mushrooms.
In the bustling market of Umu-Ahia, food was more than just fuel. It was a religion. If you cooked well, you were respected. If you cooked poorly, you were ignored. But when Amarachi arrived, she didn't just earn respect. She earned worship. Amarachi was a woman of few words.
Amarachi was a woman of few words. She appeared one Monday morning with a large aluminum pot balanced on her head and a small wooden table. She set up her stall in the center of the market, right next to the office of the market chairman, Chief Victor. She sold only one thing: Moi-Moi. Now, Moi-Moi is common. Everyone sells bean pudding. But Amarachi's Moi-Moi was different. It was wrapped in fresh green leaves that smelled of deep forest rain. When you unwrapped it, the pudding wasn't just orange. It was a deep, rich crimson red. And the smell? It was an aroma that grabbed your nose and dragged you to her table. The first person to taste it was Chief Victor himself. Chief Victor was a wicked man. Years ago, he was known for kicking beggars out of the market. In fact, many people whispered that Amarachi looked familiar, like a beggar girl named Amma who used to sleep under the stalls 7 years ago. The same girl Chief Victor had once beaten with a cane for asking for water. But nobody recognized the sophisticated woman Amarachi had become. Chief Victor took a bite of the Moi-Moi. He chewed. He stopped. His eyes rolled back in his head. "Ambrosia!" he shouted, crumbs falling from his mouth. "This is not beans, this is magic!" He bought 10 wraps immediately. By noon, the news had spread. Amarachi's Moi-Moi was the sweetest thing anyone had ever tasted. It melted on the tongue. It made you feel warm, happy, and strangely sleepy. Within a week, Amarachi was the queen of Umu-Ahia market. People lined up at 5 a.m. just to get a ticket to buy her food. Men fought in line. Women spent their housekeeping money on it. Chief Victor was eating 5 wraps for breakfast and 5 for lunch. He started forgetting things. Small things at first. He forgot where he put his keys. Then he forgot his assistant's name. Then, one afternoon, he stood in the middle of the market and forgot where his own shop was. "It is stress," people said. "The chief is working too hard." But a young market apprentice named Abraham was suspicious. Abraham carried loads for traders, so he saw everything. He noticed something strange about Amarachi. Every other food seller bought bags of beans, gallons of oil, and sacks of onions from the market stores. But Amarachi? She bought nothing. She arrived every morning with her pot full. No one ever saw her grinding beans. No one ever saw smoke coming from her house. How does she cook 500 wraps of Moi-Moi without buying a single cup of beans? Abraham wondered. Curiosity is a dangerous itch, but Abraham had to scratch it. One night, he decided to follow Amarachi home. She lived in a small, isolated hut at the edge of the forbidden forest, a place where the villagers buried those who died of bad diseases. Abraham hid behind a baobab tree and watched. It was midnight. The moon was full. Amarachi came out of her hut. She wasn't holding a bowl of beans. She was holding a hoe. She walked into the cemetery of the wicked. She stopped at the grave of a notorious thief who had died years ago. She began to dig. Abraham trembled.
Was she digging up bodies? No, she wasn't digging deep. She was scraping the surface soil. Growing right on top of the grave were strange, glowing red mushrooms. They pulsed with a faint light, like a beating heart. Amarachi harvested the mushrooms. Then she went to the swamp nearby and filled a calabash with dark, murky water that smelled of decay. She took these items back to her outdoor kitchen. Abraham watched in horror as she poured the grave mushrooms and the swamp water into her grinding machine. Groo, groo. As she ground them, the mixture turned into a thick, beautiful red paste, exactly the color of her famous Moi-Moi. She didn't add oil. She didn't add peppers. She added a small bottle of perfume to mask the smell of the grave. Then she wrapped the poison paste in leaves and steamed it over a fire made of old coffin wood. Abraham covered his mouth to stop a scream. The people weren't eating beans. They were eating the essence of the dead. They were eating a curse grown on the graves of the wicked. The next morning, Abraham ran to the market. He had to stop this. But when he arrived, it was chaos. Chief Victor was sitting on the ground in front of his big shop, crying like a baby. He was wearing his expensive lace agbada, but he was barefoot. "Where is my mother?" Chief Victor wailed. "I want to go home." The man had lost his mind completely. The mushrooms had stolen his memory. Other wealthy traders, the ones who ate Amarachi's food every day, were wandering around aimlessly. One woman was throwing her money into the gutter, laughing. Another man was eating sand. The curse of the mushrooms was simple. It fed on the brain. It took your intelligence and left you empty, just like the beggars they used to despise. Abraham spotted Amarachi. She was standing by her empty pot, counting a massive pile of cash. She wasn't smiling. She was watching Chief Victor with cold, hard eyes. "Madam!" Abraham shouted, pointing at her. "You are a witch! I saw you! You were feeding them grave mushrooms!" The crowd froze. The few people who hadn't eaten the food looked at Amarachi. Amarachi didn't run. She didn't deny it. She slowly picked up her bag of money. "They called me a dog," Amarachi said, her voice cutting through the silence. 7 years ago, Chief Victor beat me here because I was hungry. He said I was useless. He said I had no brain. She pointed at the mad Chief Victor, who was now sucking his thumb. Now he has no brain, and I have his money. Is that not fair trade? The crowd gasped. The angry mob started to surge forward to grab her. "Catch her! Kill her!" But Amarachi reached into her pocket and pulled out a handful of the dried red mushroom powder. She blew it into the air. Poof! A red cloud covered the area. The mob coughed and sneezed. Their eyes watered. When the dust settled, Amarachi was gone. Her pot was gone. Her table was gone. The only thing left was a pile of money on the ground. The money she had taken from the greedy traders. Chief Victor never recovered. He spent the rest of his days wandering the market, begging for food, just like the girl he once abused. And the people of Umu-Ahia learned a terrible lesson. Be careful who you kick on your way up, because you might have to eat from their pot on your way down. And to this day, in Umu-Ahia market, if you sell Moi-Moi that is too sweet or too red, nobody will buy it. They will just whisper, "Is it beans Or is it the mushroom from the grave?